Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video focuses on the second rule for utilizing earnings and profits. So this is rule 2. In the previous videos we discussed the first rule. Now this is the second rule. So if the current earnings and profits are less than the total amount of distribution, you have to apply the following rules. So where current earnings and profit is greater than or equal to 0, the first thing you have to do is to allocate an amount of current earnings and profits to each distribution. And I recall that in the second video I made, I focused on how to do the allocation, but let's just go over it for clarity's sake. So for you to allocate an amount of current earnings and profit to each distribution, you first have to determine the total amount of distribution, then you have to determine which distribution is at hand, then the amount of current earnings and profits. When you're done with this first step, then you allocate the accumulated earnings and profits to the remaining amount of the distribution on a first come, first served basis until the accumulated earnings and profits is exhausted. So there's an example for you to understand better. So let's assume New Corp has 1 million current earnings and profits and 2 million accumulated earnings and profits, and there are two shareholders, C and D respectively. So if New Corp distributes 1 million each to C and D, that means we have a total of 2 million. That's 1 million plus 1 million. So the total amount of distribution is 2 million. And this 2 million figure is greater than the current earnings and profit of New Corp, which is 1 million. So what do you do in that situation? The first step, you allocate the current earnings and profits to each distribution. How do you go about that? So for you to determine how much of the current earnings and profits goes to C, you consider the amount of distribution that was made to C. So that's 1 million divided by the total amount of distribution, that's 2 million. So that's 1 million distribution to C divided by 2 million, that's the total amount of distribution, multiplied by 1 million current earnings and profit of New Corp. So that gives us 500,000. So that means for C, 500,000 of the current earnings and profit can be allocated to C. And this is going to be the same for D because both of them receive the same amount of distribution, 1 million per person. So having allocated the current earnings and profits to each distribution, the next step is to allocate the accumulated earnings and profits to the remaining amount. So remember that if C has 500,000 out of the current earnings and profits, that means the current earnings and profits will be reduced by 500,000. So that's 1 million minus 500,000. So we're left with 500,000 current earnings and profits. Then for this distribution, 500,000 also goes to D out of the current earnings and profits. So that means 500,000 minus 500,000. So we've used up all of the current earnings and profits. And the total amount of distribution is 1 million. I beg your pardon. The total amount of distribution is 2 million. So far we've been able to cover 1 million out of the 2 million of the total distribution. So we're still left with the remainder of 1 million. That's why we have to go to the accumulated earnings and profits. An important point to note when you're dealing with accumulated earnings and profits is that you don't have to add up anything. You don't have to sum up the remaining distributions. All you have to do is just use the accumulated earnings and profits on a first come, first served basis. So for C has 500,000 left out of the distribution. So you just deduct that from the accumulated earnings and profits. So that's 2 million minus 500,000. So the accumulated earnings and profits will now be 1,500,000. Then for D, the remaining 500,000 of the distribution is subtracted from the 1,500,000. So that means we are now left with 1 million accumulated earnings and profits. So you see that on the So the tax result for C is that C has a dividend out of current earnings and profits, and C also has a dividend out of accumulated earnings and profits. And that's the same result for D because both of them received the same amount of distribution, 1 million per person. Thus, C and D have dividends out of the earnings and profits of New Corp. I hope this video has been very helpful. Please like this video and continue to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Have a nice one.